This is the Phillies Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Philadelphia Phillies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into this edition of Locked On Phillies Postcast. My name is Mark Farzetta. Connor Thomas has you covered each and every day for your Locked On Phillies Postcast needs. And yes, this is a very, very late postcast I am doing. Full disclosure, if you grabbed Connor Thomas filling in for me earlier today, I had Eagles game responsibilities, unfortunately. And of course, it just happened to come on the same day, this awful day in Philadelphia sports history. If you caught that earlier, it was a brief show. I think I actually ended it by accident, but I do thank Connor Thomas for filling in. And just if I had to use one word or phrase to describe the Philadelphia Phillies and the way they lost this game, it is an absolute gut punch. Initial rage, then heartbreak, then more rage directed at the Phillies, and not even at Orion Kerkering. Sure, and I'll get to it. Terrible decision. Terrible throw. And I know I tweeted out after the game, just a horrible way to lose, that kind of thing. And everyone's like, well, if Orion Kerkering would have thrown the ball to first base, he would have overthrown that too. And I have to agree. Even though that was the play to make, that was the final out of the inning that he had right there. And yeah, he booted it. I forgive the boot. It's a difficult thing for a pitcher, especially a bullpen guy, to try to field. And I'm not making excuses for him, but I can almost forgive that part of it. But then you have to have the presence of mind as a professional bullpen pitcher to pick that ball up and still make the right play. It was an ugly throw. It was a horrendous decision. And the decision was the easier part. But he panicked and threw extremely wide to home. You guys saw the play. I don't need to break it down any further. It was just a dumb play to make, compounded by an awful throw. And to have JT Realmuto sitting there pointing at first base, and you just pick up and throw. And to Orion Kerkering's credit, and I'm coming to you guys now well after the game's over, after the Eagles game's even over. It's actually 3 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time, that I'm doing this. But I didn't want to leave you guys hanging and not give you a full postcast. It was just terrible the way that one ended. And yeah, absolute rage, disappointment. And then you see Orion Kerkering get his arms put around him by his teammates. And you don't love the reason why it happened, but you love that at least they're trying to pick him up. Rob Thompson in what could be his last game managing the Philadelphia Phillies, and quite frankly, might likely be his last game managing the Philadelphia Phillies, comforts him immediately. But I want to say this. Orion Kerkering made the decisive play, the one that ended it. And that's what people will look at. But I think most Phillies fans know the real reason why they lost this series, and it's not because of Orion Kerkering. They lost this series because the Big Bats took 3 games off. The Big Bats came up extremely small in this series. You want to talk about a 208 batting average for this series between Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, and to be honest with you, doing the math, I'm surprised it's even that high. You're also talking about 17 strikeouts in the course of this 4-game series. That is pathetic. There has been so much overpromising with this Phillies ball club and so much disappointment. So much overpromising and an abundance of under-delivering. And that is what sticks out to me about this Phillies team this year. And this series, especially this particular game, I had said last night on the postcast that you have an 8-run performance. Kyle Schwarber looks like he's swinging a hot bat. Now, his home runs come in bunches. And then Tyler Glasnow throughout this game tonight just toyed with him. High fastball. Get him chasing on that one in an 0-2 count. Later, he puts a curveball in the dirt that he swings over top of, another 1-2 or 0-2 count. He just gets way too aggressive. Looks like he's pressing. Phillies get a leadoff runner on in 3 different innings, and they're unable to make something happen out of it. The only RBI you get is Nick Castellanos. Again, a big one of your better hitters in this series is the part-time right fielder, Nick Castellanos. And then you also think about the decisions made by Rob Thompson throughout this series as well, whether it's David Robertson coming into the 7th inning, whether it's Orion Kerkering. Now, I will say, even going into tonight, who I was watching the game with, I said, when I saw Orion Kerkering come out with inherited runners, I said, that's a wrap. That's a wrap. And then Orion Kerkering found a whole new way to blow a game and allow an inherited runner to score, and that was to throw the ball away. I have to smile, otherwise I'd be crying, and I don't want to do that on the show. Managing the bullpen, and then the classic Bryson Stott laying down the ball. What? Why? Now, the bats had already been struggling up to that point anyway, so there's no telling if you get the run home. I like Bryson Stott. I'm not going to rehash the whole thing for you, but I like Bryson Stott swinging away. You know he's a contact hitter. You know he's going to be able to pull the ball. He's going to get the ball on the other side of the field. Nick Castellanos takes it there. Boom, we're good. But I look at the bats before I look at anything else in this series and how small they came up again. And what I was hoping they would avoid tonight, this is why we have trust issues in Philadelphia. What I was hoping they would avoid tonight, and you regulars know I had harped on this all year long. The Phillies were going to be a playoff team. I kept on that, but I had no idea what type of team they're going to be in the playoffs. And why is that? Because this is a team that we saw hit 5 home runs in a World Series game, then get no hit the very next day, and their offense disappears for the final 2 games of the series. In a World Series. Same type of thing against the Diamondbacks in the NLCS 2 years ago. Bullpen blows it. Rob Thompson comes up with terrible decisions. Keeps relying on Craig Kimbrell to come in and save things. Yeah, it didn't work out. And also the offense dried up. It's why we have trust issues with this Phillies team. And then you saw it rear its ugly head again. And in this particular case, you saw an 8-run performance, a 450-foot mammoth home run from Kyle Schwarber in Game 3 of this series to at least salvage the idea of not being swept. Save you from not being swept, I should say. And you thought, all right, maybe you get on the right track here. Maybe this is where you take off. Maybe this is what you needed to get right and at least get back home. And the offense just dried up again. Trey Turner, 0 for 5. That is this. You can't go 0 for 5 on a day like today. Look, I know the guy worked his ass off to rehab and get ready for the playoffs and be available despite the tightness in his hamstring and all that, and avoid any serious injury that would have shut him down for the rest of the year. More power to him. 0 for 5 is unacceptable. Bryce Harper is supposed to be the showman. Well, this show sucked. This show sucked terribly. Looking at Bryce Harper, 0 for 4, 2 for 4, 0 for 3, 1 for 4. 4 strikeouts in the series. I was actually surprised it was only 4. That's the guy that's supposed to carry you. That's a guy that's when he's coming up to the plate and you got a runner on first and it's a 2-run ball game. He's the guy that comes up and ties it. Or you're down a run, he's supposed to give you that 2-run. Something to put a jolt into this offense. Nothing. He's the guy that is not only supposed to be, the leader on the field, but this is also a guy that's going to have heavy say on the way this team goes in the offseason. You don't think John Middleton, Dave Dombrowski, you don't think they're already having conversations about Rob Thompson throughout the year? You don't think in the coming days, maybe even hours, the Philadelphia Phillies are going to make an announcement about Rob Thompson? And when they do that, you don't think that they're going to consult Bryce Harper? JT Realmuto getting re-signed or not? Nick Castellanos possibly being traded this offseason. Kyle Schwarber above anybody else, whether or not he's going to be back. You don't think a guy that's going to be banging down the door or having conversations with the higher-ups there is, as I like to say, the assistant to the general manager and the president of baseball operations, Dave Dombrowski, the assistant to, that's Bryce Harper. If you're looking for hope for next year, we'll get to that coming up, but I will take your comments. I see a couple of more comments popping up here. I appreciate you guys. You guys are great. Oh, wow. That's really, AD, that's very kind. I'll get to that. I do appreciate it. But here's the deal. I'll circle back to this. Orion Kerkering again made the decisive play that we will all remember. This isn't going anywhere. He made a horrible throw and a horrible decision. And the thing that really sucks is you had the false hope when he got Pages to ground out or ground to him, hit the comebacker. He throws the mitt down, misses it. You're thinking he's still got time. And then he makes the worst possible decision with the worst possible throw. If I wasn't laughing, I'd be crying. That's the thing that was such the tease because, oh, wow, he actually got out of this. You had that thought for a fleeting moment. Oh, he's actually going to get out of this. He's not going to allow an inherited runner. This is great. And then, no, he did. He found another way to do it. I know that's the play that everyone's going to remember, but right after that, this is the way this is going to live in infamy, I believe. People will be like, Kerkering made that play. Oh, my God. And then someone's going to say, yeah, but, your top 3 hitters hit, just barely over 200 in the series. That's what I think people will. Hopefully, rightfully, by the way, I think that's what they'll say. That's what they'll say. A couple other things, by the way. Joan Duran coming in the 7th inning. Interesting. Bold strategy. Bold. But there you are. And how about this? Cristopher Sanchez getting out of jams, getting some great defense behind him. I know Bohm had that error, but they were able to get out of that without allowing a run, obviously. Cristopher Sanchez got double play balls or got guys to ground out, not advance runners and all that. Pitched great for a 6 1/3. And wouldn't you know it? And I saw something that said the home plate umpire tonight apologized for missing should have been a 2-2 called third strike inside corner. That was definitely on the box, definitely on the inside corner, and ended up being a walk. And that walk after a pinch runner, who did they go from Call to Dean, I believe it was. Dean ends up scoring the game-tying run to tie it up at 1 and force extra innings. One little pitch like that. Now, I'm not blaming umpires. I'm not going down that avenue again. To me, the villain of this series was the offense. The villain, to be more specific, of this offense goes from Turner to Schwarber to Harper. That's who I look at in this series. When I talk about blame, that's what I blame. I blame Rob Thompson for some terrible decision-making. But above that, I look at these bats that maybe don't put Rob Thompson in that tough a position to have to make tough calls, or the bullpen in a position where they have to be damn near perfect. But in a game like this, that is a 1-0 game, that was 1-0 up until, the 7th inning? When you see a game played like that and you see one missed call, that one missed call should have been the second out of the inning. And Cristopher Sanchez gets out of it. Joan Duran maybe comes in the 8th, 9th. That's it. See you later. Absolutely egregious. Absolutely egregious. When we come back, I will take a couple of more of I will take some comments on this one, so I do appreciate you guys hanging in there, especially people live on the East Coast at 3:16 in the morning now. Also, another reason why I wanted to do the show is not just because I didn't want to leave you guys high and dry, but how could I miss the opportunity to do a Rugiet ad? Like I will coming up. This is Locked On Phillies POSTCAST and the Locked On Phillies YouTube channel. And yeah, that's right. Let me tell you about Rugiet, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's right. Maybe you need a little pick-me-up after a night like tonight. Huh? You need to be in a better mood? Well, guys, you've probably heard about Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rugiet Go Long comes in, by the way. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for your confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can perform and go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That sounds like a good time. And it's all confidence all day and all night and into the next day, as a matter of fact. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly to your door. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet.com, Rugiet.com, and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB to make sure that you use that promo code so that you know that we sent you to Rugiet.com. And, of course, how about the Gametime app? Nothing like the Gametime app. Nothing like catching a game live and all the action unfolding right in front of you, whether it's the crack of the bat. Remember that from last season? Yeah, it's last season already. The squeak of the sneakers in basketball, the ball going through the net. Whoosh, whoosh. Slap shot. All that stuff. Nothing like being at the game, right? That's why I love the Gametime app. You can download the Gametime app. You can use promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and you get $20 off your first purchase on the Gametime app. And don't forget about the Gametime guarantee, where you'll always get 100% pure, authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included, so the price is the price. What you see is what you pay. You don't get the checkout and be like, whoa, what's this $10 inconvenient convenience fee? You know what I mean? Not with the Gametime app. And how about the zone deals as well? Pick a section. Gametime picks the seats to save you big money. Honestly, it's faster, it's cheaper, less stressful than any other way to buy tickets. So download the Gametime app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off. Just swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Gametime app today. That's gametime.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you want. Oh, well, how dare I? Excuse me, one second.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Cristopher Sanchez. I'll go Cristopher Sanchez.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Turning point of this baseball game, without question, was when home plate umpire Mark Wegner unfortunately called that strikeout pitch from Cristopher Sanchez a ball. That was the moment right there. No question about that.
This is what you'll be talking about.
You're going to be talking about the season being over, Rob Thompson most likely getting fired, and what happens with Orion Kerkering. Here's, I think, the safest bet to make, talking about the future. I told you guys also give you something to hope for, right? The safest bet to make of the people that might not be back next year. So you think about Rob Thompson, you think about Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, and Nick Castellanos. I think the safest bet as to who's played or worked for the Philadelphia Phillies for the last time tonight, Nick Castellanos. I could see a world where Rob Thompson's back. I could see absolutely Kyle Schwarber coming back. And I could see Harrison Bader coming back, by the way. JT Realmuto, obviously. I don't see a way back with Nick Castellanos, and I definitely don't see a way back with Nick Castellanos if Rob Thompson is the skipper again next year. But I think the safest bet, though, is that Nick Castellanos is not here. And as I said after his comments about, well, it's tough to play in Philly, that type of thing, and you know what? He's just being honest, and I believe him. I think it is tough to play in Philly, but if you're a team that's, again, underachieved as often as the Phillies have underachieved, zip it. Nobody wants to hear it right now. And I think, if not in the forefront of his mind, maybe the back of his mind, he's thinking, I'm not coming back to Citizens Bank Park to play anyway. I can say whatever I damn well please. And then he ends up getting a 2-run double in that game and then ruins it by his comments after the game. And then today he gets the RBI. Go figure. By the way, even think about that. I talk about a game of inches here, game of centimeters, fractions of a centimeter in this game today. You talk about the pitch that was called a ball. It should have been a strike, a punch-out pitch. And then you also think about Kepler getting into scoring position because of the air. Just think about the way that had to play out as well. Absolutely bonkers. All right, let's get into the chat check then. Harper a bust so far, yes. Kyle Schwarber only looks good if he feasts on high ERA pitching. Potentially. Oh, Philly at 8. That's a good point. Philly at 8. Look at you hanging out late. I appreciate that. Oh, my goodness. Look at all these other regulars are here. Love you guys. Dodgers literally did nothing in the game as far as scoring runs. Technically, the walk home is an RBI. That's it, right? And that one that shouldn't even counted. Batter should have never been on base. Pastor Marty, hello. I need a pastor. The Philly front office will reassemble the entire clown show again. Okay, all right. So let me, before I go any further with the chat, then I promised you guys a little bit of semblance of hope. Okay, This probably isn't going to work for anybody because everyone feels like complete, what's the phrase the kids use? Cheeks. That's how everybody feels right now. Straight cheeks. Flyers lost. Phillies obviously lost. Eagles just got their doors blown off by the New York Giants. 2 rookies took it to them in Scattaboo and that Jackson Dart fella, okay? The Eagles just lost to a team, by the way, just while I'm on the subject, that had Jameis Winston provide the pep talk. Jameis Winston's a third-string quarterback. Okay, I digress. Back to the Phillies. Here's the glimmer of hope. Back to the hope, right? Okay, here we go. One of the reasons I don't think Nick Castellanos is going to be on this team next year is because Justin Crawford is going to be at the big league level next year. That gives me optimism. Aiden Miller could also be at the big league level next year. That'd be nice to see. Don't know where he'd play yet, but I'd love to see him at the big league level at some point. I don't think he's going to start the season at any point, but we could wait with bated breath to see how he ascends through the system. And then Andrew Painter is 1 year removed from Tommy John surgery. From the year you're supposed to recover. Don't get me wrong. Speaking of cheeks, that's what he was at the minor league level this year. But I'm going to go ahead for the sake of sanity and hopes and dreams and not crying myself to sleep tonight. That it was all recovery. It was just him recovering from Tommy John surgery. That's all this year was, with his ERA of, what was it, like 6 or something? Good Lord, that's terrible. So that's my glimmer of hope. I told you, glimmer. Oh, ADK, last postcast of the season. I know. I didn't want to leave you guys hanging, man. Cristopher Sanchez, hands down, player of the game. Yeah, I agree. No one cares, made it to the playoffs. I agree. Phillies and the Sixers are in the same boat as far as I'm concerned. And both them boats are taking on water. Okay? Know what I'm saying? It's got to be about winning a World Series. Why did they walk Ohtani? They walked Ohtani so that you had the righty-righty matchup. That's why they walked Ohtani. Even though he's sucked this season. I missed somebody here. I want to make sure I get somebody in here. BC! I knew you'd be back around. How you doing? Clown up missed a bunch of calls. Yes, he did. ADK, or Mark Dodgers fan here. Been watching you for a while. Hands down, best on the Locked On Network. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Philly and 8. I just watched The Offer on Paramount Plus, so this is very fresh in my head. Like Mo Green, great massage, 2 Schwar bombs, and then do you renounce him? Bang! Oh, that's great. ADK, I do appreciate your kind words. Thank you so much. On a night like tonight, I certainly need them. That the sports scene in Philly is so depressing. Thanks, everybody in the chat. And again, I know I said this the other night, and I'll say this as well. Thanks to Connor Thomas for filling in for me earlier. Again, that was my fault that ended so abruptly. I didn't realize I was in control of it, in control of the broadcast, and I thought I was just taking myself out of the broadcast while Connor was still doing the show. So I ended that prematurely by accident. I'm sorry. But again, I know I said this the other night, but I say it again. I've had so much fun with you guys, everybody, just all the interactions on social media and in the comments and all that. I've had so much fun with you guys. I don't know how many games I did this year, 145, maybe something like that. And I've just enjoyed every single one of them, even the rough ones and rough losses like tonight. Baseball is my number one, my first love in sports. And to be able to talk about it with you guys after each and every game this year has been such a blast, regardless of the outcome of the game. So it's been a pleasure to hang out with you guys. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Catch me, guys, on Locked On 76ers with Keith Pompey. I look forward to continuing that podcast with my man Keith. We'll be on after the Sixers preseason game. And maybe the Sixers, maybe a Philadelphia team will win a game, albeit preseason, right? A guy can dream. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching all season long. Look forward to catching up with you guys throughout the Sixers season. Have a great rest of your night, everybody, and a great fall and a great winter. See you guys in spring training.